Hello, Hope Church. Great to be talking to you here in a very sunny Galashiels. Just want to share a few thoughts about our week of prayer and fasting, which starts this coming week on Monday, the 21st of September. You know, as we read through the Gospels, we see that every time Jesus did something significant preceding that, he spent time in prayer. He spent time with the Father. If Jesus needs to do that, then we do as well. And so we're calling us as a church to come together, not collectively, but to come together as one in Him and pray for this coming week, to call on God together. God spoke to us at the start of the year about a new vision. He spoke to us about us as Hope Church being part of a wider, glorious church. He spoke to us about being intentional in our discipleship. He spoke to us about releasing and equipping, and so that we can be on the mission that He's calling us to do, so that we can reach out to others. He spoke to us about the potential of planting out again. And so with those thoughts in mind, we really want to call out to Him and say, what is it that He's saying to us in this season? Many are asking in these challenging times, life is tough. It's not the same as what it was. What used to work might not work in the same way. And so we're sensing that there's a stirring within us. And rather than ask the question, how can we get back to what used to be? We believe that God's calling us to ask a different question. What are the unique opportunities that He is giving us in this time? What is He calling us to be and do as a church together? So we're asking you, inviting you to come and pray with us. We believe that there's a stirring for new wineskins, for changes. Do we need to make changes to the way we're structured? Do we need to release us so that we effectively are planting out more vigorously so that we can connect and reach more people? These are questions that we want to be asking. What does equipping and releasing one another look like? What does raising up more leaders look like? Dave and Marielle Anderson have the embryonic stirrings of a potential for a whole life discipleship program out there at Newtown St. Boswell's with a building that they believe God's led them to. Is God leading us here to partner with them? What is He saying to us at this time? And so, as Jesus spent time with the Father, I would love us as a church, for you and for us to spend time with Him this week and hear what He might be saying to us. In Ezekiel 22, we can read there that God was looking among His people for one of them to stand in the gap on behalf of the nation, on behalf of the land, to save it from destruction. We're calling us together as church to prayer. We as elders believe at this time that this is something significant, that this is what God is calling us to. And we believe that He's calling us to stand in the gap in prayer, so to speak, to stand in the gap for our nation, for our country, for the borders, for us as church, and all that He's calling us to be and do. So will you join us? Will you call out for our nation? Will you call out for the borders and all the people that He wants to reach? Will you call out for our church and see where God might be leading us? And let's humble ourselves. Maybe we have got some repenting to do. Maybe we need to examine our hearts. So let Jesus speak to us through His Spirit this week as we spend time in prayer with Him. So what could this week look like? Well, what's really important is our hearts and what's behind this. What's important is that with an attitude of prayer, we are simply calling out to God, our Father, in and through Jesus, in the power of His Spirit. Some of you are prayers, some of you intercede, some of you are experienced at this, and that's great, and you get it. Some may only be stepping out in your prayer life, but whoever we are and wherever we are, whether we're children or young people, adults, we're just inviting us all to adopt this attitude of prayer and to spend some time this week collectively as a church praying. Now, obviously, in this season, it's difficult for us to all meet together. We can't create big prayer nights in quite the same way. But what's important is that we're asking you to set aside some time each day through these 7 days of this coming week, starting Monday, 21st, and just devote some time as you feel able each of those days. Now, the opportunity is there. It would be great if you could meet up with one other household as regulations allow. Some of you have time to do that every day. Some of you might only fit that in once in the week. The timing doesn't matter. We want to be flexible about this, but what's important is that there's some aspects of a sharing in these prayer times together. It might be people from your 2s and 3s. Your Life Mission Group might want to zoom in at some point in the week and have a prayer time together. We're leaving that up to you. We're leaving that up to the individual groups. It's what works for you. Corinthians reminds us that Paul talks about the prayers of many. There's something about us collectively praying to God together at the same time, and I believe it just brings a different dimension. So that's the heart behind this. Now, as we've mentioned, we're using the book of Acts as a kind of scriptural backdrop this week, just a framework of this beautiful New Testament church. What a picture. And so what we're going to do is just post a little video each morning with some aspect from the book of Acts just to help frame our prayers and help us pray and tailor those prayers for those individual days. So look out for those. We would love you to consider fasting. Again, some of you experienced at this, some that's a new thing. Maybe this is time for you to step out. Why do we fast? Well, it's not so that we say, hey, look at us, I'm doing something great. It's the opposite. It's us humbling ourselves. It's us saying to God, we need you. It's us reminding ourselves that actually we need to rely on Him. There's a humbling in it. You might want to fast food. It might be something else. Maybe it's your phone. But we'd love you to pray and consider what that might be. And so that we can just devote a little extra and lean in and spend time with the Father through Jesus in the power of the Spirit. And maybe you're saying, well, I'm not very good at praying and I don't have all the fancy words. That is not what Jesus meant when He said pray. In fact, when He taught His disciples, He said, when you pray, say Abba, which is the Aramaic word for Father, but it literally means daddy. So I want you to think of it like that. God is longing for us, His children, to come to Him, pour out our hearts to Him, to lean into Him, to ask Him these questions. What are you calling us to in this time? We're calling out to you for our nation. We're calling out to you for the borders. We're calling out to you for each other. We're calling out to you as a church. So we're coming to Him and He's longing to hear from us, but also we can lean in and listen to what He is saying to you. So what's He saying to you this week? And guys, we would love to hear from you. We would love to hear if you have a sense, maybe a picture, a word, a scripture, a prophecy of what you sense God might be saying. Now, we love it that there's lots of ideas, but it's not ideas that we want to focus on here. You might think, oh, we could do this as a church. We should restructure like this. That's not what we're getting at. What we're saying is, what is God saying? That's what the important thing that we want to hear at this time. What might God be saying to us? And we've given you an email address and the information we've sent out. It's a specific email address that you can use. You say, well, I don't have email. Use your group. One of your friends, they will. You could give a word or whatever it is you sense you want to share to them and they can email us. So guys, we're with you. We are praying for you this week as we all pray together. And we're just delighted as a leadership team, as elders, that we can join in God together this week, and we are excited for what He's going to do. And I believe that this is going to be significant. I believe He's going to use it, and we are going to know what are the unique opportunities that God is calling us into as a church at this time. So bless you, love you, and we're cheering you on through this week.